We have Theo of Cambridge, who I think 25% of you already know in person from living in Cambridge, which is awesome. We also have Janeen with Go Local Sonoma. And we are also going to hear from Lauren Hendricks, who I know well because she is my Louisville cohort, Louisville Independent Business Alliance board president and has been with the organization for many, many years. So what we're going to do is we're going to have each of them chat for a bit, and then we'll have our Q&A. They may or may not share screens. Again, we're a very informal bunch. But I think Lauren is going to kick us off here. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Lauren.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. It's nice to see your faces from so many different places. Thanks for being here. As Jennifer said, my name's Lauren. I am the current president of the Louisville Independent Business Alliance. But I also co-own a local marketing agency here in Louisville, where I'd say at least 95% of our clients are locally owned businesses, and a majority of those being Louisville independent businesses. So the independent, local business world is a passion. And it's nice that I'm able to, put my career and my passions together. So I'm going to start just by sharing just some social media, best practices and tips. I've been with my company for 10 years, been a member of LIBA for about 10 years. And since day one, I've focused a lot on social media. When I started in social media, Facebook business pages didn't exist. I'm sure many of you can remember that. I was still trying to convince businesses that social media is a legitimate form of marketing. And not only is it legitimate, but it is very cost effective and it can be very efficient for any business. And so these tips that I'm going to share with you right now are based on, there's, like Jen started off by saying, we could spend hours. I mean, there are seminars and classes, just about social media marketing. So I'm just going to hit high level and really hit on some of the tips that my clients and even some LIBA business members have found to be most helpful. So feel free to reach out to me afterwards I'll leave my information if you guys have any questions or want to follow up on anything that I said.
And I'll also jump in and add that Lauren has taken over the social media for our organization. So, she is the voice of our IBA. I know many of you are from IBAs, which that social media voice is a little different, probably from a just straight up business standpoint. So she can also speak to that aspect of it as well.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Jen. That's a very good point. Yes. Doing the social media for, an organization that has many voices and representing many people can be very different than, one business. But I think that a lot of these tips can apply to, no matter what type of organization or business that you are. So and some of these may seem maybe obvious, but again, this is stuff that when talking with other, independent businesses, sometimes it's best to get back to the basics, especially now where social media can feel very overwhelming and complicated. Sometimes it's nice just to get back to the basics. So starting with that is knowing what platforms to be on. There are it feels like an endless number of options right now. It's no longer just Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. There are so many different options. And it may seem like every day a new one's coming out and that you may need to be on that one because it's the newest and hottest thing, right? So I need to be on it. No, that's not the case. Not every platform is appropriate for every business or every organization. And that's really dependent on your audience and, and maybe even your industry. You do not necessarily need to be on, TikTok because you see that your college-aged, daughter is, or you don't need to be, necessarily on Instagram if you don't have enough strong visual content. You also need to look at where's your audience, depending on your audience demographics, age being a big factor. where, based on age, where's your audience? So it's smart to start off by doing research, knowing what platforms are out there and which ones feel most natural for you to be on. Another big one, which may seem like a basic, but I say it every year to all of my clients, it's consistency is everything. And that's across the board. It's just like a baseline really rule with social media is you have to establish some sort of consistency. And what can help doing that is creating a social media content calendar. So what's consistent for you may be different than what's consistent for someone else. Maybe getting started once a week is all you can handle because you're doing it yourself and you have no one to help you. And so you just have to carve out an hour or two every week and make sure that you get your posts done. Maybe it's every day, maybe it's every other day. Depending on your content, what you have to share, what you have to talk about, will help determine what kind of consistent schedule you have. Creating a content calendar can also help you plan ahead, make sure that you're saying the right things at the right time, you're tagging the right people, you're using the right visual content. So I also highly recommend creating a content calendar. And what goes along with both of those is also knowing who's responsible for your social media. Is it you as the owner? Is it your employee? Is it an agency that you've hired? Is it an intern? Somebody needs to be responsible for it, and you need to know who that person is. And there always needs to be, clear communication. If you have somebody representing you, you need to make sure that they know everything from, do you use emojis or not? Do you use exclamation points? Do you do fun facts? I mean, if you're going to hire somebody, they need to feel like they are an extension of your brand. And as we've mentioned, social media is ever changing. So be willing to experiment with different types of content. Don't be afraid to make a reel because you're not really sure what it is and you've never done it before. The internet can teach you a lot. There's people who would be willing to sit down with you for a few minutes and even show you, walk you through something. The best way to learn what content to post is, again, listen to your followers, listen to your audience. What is most relevant to them? What type of posts are you getting the most engagement, the most likes, the most comments, the most shares? And start tracking that stuff. Pay attention to what social media is telling you, what the data is telling you. If you are seeing that every time you share information about the history of your business and you're getting a lot of comments or a lot of shares, okay, that means something. That means they want to know your story. They're engaging. This information is relevant to them. So take note of that and obviously do more of that. See if you can work that into your calendar more. Because overall, the more you listen to your audience, the better you're going to be able to create content. Because really what social media does is it creates an opportunity for not only your customers to get to know you, your story, your employees, your background, but also vice versa. You can learn a lot about your business from your followers, from your customers, your audience. And it creates a great two-way conversation that can happen, digitally when they're not able to be in front of you. We saw that, during COVID. A lot of people turned to social media even more and really increased their social media and their digital strategy. So I think I'm going to stop there. I want to make sure everyone else has enough time, and I'm sure there's lots of questions. So I'm happy to revisit any of this after everyone else gets a chance.
Thank you, Lauren. Appreciate it. Awesome. Let's just transition over to Theo. Longtime IBA leader.
Thank you. Super excited to be here with you guys. I am excited to share some best practices that we have identified based on research that we've done with interns over the last few years, especially at the start of 2020, when we were doing a huge amount of social media posting, and we really wanted to be effective in reaching our intended audience. So I'm actually going to screen share a few best practices that we've put together. I'm also going to deep dive into Twitter, and I'm happy to answer any questions that folks have. So feel free to hop in if you have any questions as I'm screen sharing. So I'll first do like a few high level recommendations, and then I'll do a little bit of a deeper dive also. So these are recommendations across Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, though I note at the end that other channels like LinkedIn can be very effective as well. So what we found is that the best times to post on Twitter are 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Follow people who themselves follow people you care about to build your audience of a network of people who are doing work that you're doing. You're building a community on Twitter. Share relevant information, post visual content. We find that visual content yields greater engagement. Tweet consistently. So the algorithms are such that if you tweet more, you're more likely to get promoted. So for some platforms, if you engage less, frequently it means that when you post, you're actually going to boost engagement. Whereas for Twitter, the opposite is the case. If you're tweeting more, you're more likely to see engagement with your posts. Promote your Twitter on other social media platforms, and this applies across all platforms. You always want to co-promote your other platforms so that people who are following you across all channels. And definitely use hashtags. This will grow your engagement. So that's just a quick summary. Again, I'm going to do a deeper dive in just a minute. On Facebook, we actually find that posting less frequently might actually boost engagement, because then it's when you do post, it gets promoted more effectively. We also find that the best time to post on Facebook is early afternoon. Post videos as well as pictures. You can go live to interact with your followers, which is a great way of engaging with your audience. As with Instagram and Twitter, ask questions and respond to comments. So when you engage with your audience, people are more likely to follow you and engage more moving forward. Also on Facebook, you can create groups where members of the communities that you're working with can voice their concerns and their questions and issues. On Instagram, and just, these are linked, I can share this in the chat after, these are linked to our respective channels just so you can check them out. On Instagram, again, follow people who follow those you care about. On all of these channels, you're trying to build a community of users. Like Twitter, post often, at least once a day, so that the algorithm continues to push out your posts. We recommend posting more pictures because Instagram is very photo heavy. It's less text heavy. Twitter focuses more on text. Instagram is more photo heavy. Again, use hashtags that'll grow your engagement and also make it easier for people to find you if they're looking to engage with organizations that are doing work in your space. Geotag your location, and this actually applies to other platforms as well, like Facebook. That way, if folks are looking to engage with organizations in a specific geography, you're going to come up as an organization in that space. You can try Instagram Live, just like with Facebook, to reach an audience live. You can initiate conversations in a caption by asking a question and then responding to comments regarding the question. We also recommend with Instagram using different types of content. So yes, there are regular posts, but you can also use stories, reels, Instagram, TV, etc. With a specific note that Instagram is investing very heavily in reels. We did a whole workshop on this with our members a few weeks ago. And I'll just show you one example of a reel that this is on my personal account, but just wanted to flag. It's like, so I went to a Greek restaurant and took a quick video of somebody basically putting fire to Saganaki cheese. And, it's a really quick video, and it got 6,561 views and 446 likes, right? And that took all of 2 seconds. So these are the reels that I posted on my own channel, like make way for ducklings. This got 3,000 views. It's like ducks crossing the street. So anyway, this is less local business, resilient business focused, but just wanted to flag that reels are very effective right now on Instagram because they're investing heavily in video content. And they're trying to compete with TikTok. So that's the driving ideology behind why Facebook, Meta really is investing in Instagram Reels. And then again, you want to promote your Instagram on other social media platforms. And we have a schedule here of when it is best to post. So you can check that out. We also have some comments on accessibility. So it is important to build accessibility. Some specific recommendations include providing closed captioning for videos, including a written description of a picture, posting, capitalizing hashtags. The idea there is that if phone software reads it aloud, it's more likely to read it as 3 separate words as opposed to one big word. Don't use custom fonts that are hard to read. So pick the easiest, most legible fonts. Maintain color contrast. Don't use too many emojis. That can be really overwhelming for users. Avoid ableist language. Follow and uplift disability activists. And then some more recommendations are in this link. And like was said earlier, definitely for the process, create a content calendar, clarify social media posting roles, who's doing what and when, and then explore other channels like LinkedIn. And then I'm just going to do a deeper dive into Twitter. So just a few points here. So one, develop a strategy. It's really important to be like strategic and thoughtful about how you engage with the platform. Ideally, collaborate with influencers and celebrities to elevate messages. So to the extent that is possible within your respective community, identify who are powerful users on the platform and engage them. You can tweet at them and they're more likely to respond because they have a larger audience. It's going to draw attention to your account. Use humanistic rhetoric, inclusive language, and shared purpose. I'm going to get rid of that last bit. So basically building out inclusivity is more likely to engage a wider audience, including multilingual messaging, right? So if you're in a community where people speak a lot of different languages, then it's good to engage people in those languages: Spanish, Chinese, Arabic, etc. Some of this document was prepared specifically for crisis. So you're going to see some like crisis focused language here. We've sort of moved beyond that to just for these recommendations to apply more broadly. I'm going to go to Twitter threads. So Twitter threads can be really helpful in getting out information that goes beyond the character count. So you can actually do multiple threads and then they are bound together so that people can see longer messaging in one specific comment. Own a hashtag. So this is an example of a hashtag during Hurricane Sandy. For Cambridge Local First, we use the hashtag resilient local economies. We own that hashtag. So that means that anybody who goes to Twitter and then looks for resilient local economies is going to see our content because we're the only one who uses resilient local economies. So you want to create a hashtag that's unique and that really connects directly to the work that you're doing. So you can own it. I'm going to jump to communicating with empathy, openness, frankness, and honesty is really important. Short and digestible bites of information, especially for time-pressing situations, is important. And we're finding increasingly that communicating scientific content is seen as the most share-worthy content on the platform. So if you're looking to reach a larger audience, grounding content and scientific content can be helpful. Foster genuine interactions, so authentic and organic engagement. Incorporate social media into your communication strategy. And then, like was said before, establish a consistent cadence. Make your post dynamic. Note again that a video is 6 times more likely to be interacted with than text only. So use videos as much as you can. Stay on top of mentions, right? Make sure you're responding to mentions, and you can see those. Just so you see, like here. Oh, I'm not in my account, but if you're logged into yours, you can see mentions there. And almost done. Actionable directives are good, right? So you want to give people specific action. So if you're organizing an event, include the URL so people can sign up for the event. And then engage in thought discussion groups or trainings. So those are a few recommendations, happy to elaborate, but those are the 3 primary platforms that we use. We do also use LinkedIn, and we find it can be very effective because increasingly people are turning to LinkedIn for like professional development, and increasingly like adults are using LinkedIn more than Facebook sometimes. And then the very last caveat is that be mindful of your age audience. So each platform has a different age demographic associated with it. So Facebook would be the oldest, people who are like 30, 35 plus. Twitter tends to be people who are a little bit younger, 20s, early 30s. Instagram is often a younger audience, so teenagers into 20s. And then like TikTok would be a teenager audience, whereas LinkedIn is people who are like often 20 plus. Going up. So age demographics can vary by platform. And I'll pause there. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Theo. Very awesome document. I'm sure we're going to want a link to that if you're willing to share it. Thank you so much. Yes, and we just relaunched our LinkedIn. We had one in early days, and then we weren't keeping it up, so we just didn't want something bad up there, so we closed it down, and now we're ready to like put some resources to it and all that good stuff, because we have run across members who say, I just don't do Facebook, but I'll do LinkedIn. Awesome. So Janeen, kind of batting cleanup here. What you got to add to that?
That's great. There's not a lot to add to that. That was so comprehensive, Theo. I loved it, and it'll be great to review those recommendations. And yeah, I think I'll just chime in with a few, just kind of more overview things that we do here in Sonoma County, California. We're about an hour north of San Francisco. I think what we have found the strength of our use of social media is that our members benefit from what we call the halo effect in our posting on behalf of them. And so I would say the vast majority of our content is directly about our members. So we really have shifted into making that a direct membership benefit. Over the past years, we also do paid ad campaigns on behalf of our members. And it's honestly probably about 95% of the content we post has ad dollars on it. Even if it's $5, it makes such a difference. And this is of course just focused on Facebook and Instagram, which are the kind of the platforms that we focus on. We really don't do a lot yet with LinkedIn, Snapchat, and Twitter and TikTok. And so we have found that our members really respond to this. So it's an opportunity for engagement, because we actually send them results with every campaign that we do. So that's just kind of a touch point. And even if it's the $5 one, we just say, hey, as a member benefit, we did this, so they could see, because they may not have come across it otherwise. And then we also add in our other offerings, because we have, basic membership benefits, but we also offer a whole bunch of additional media and advertising and marketing services add-ons. So, we probably spend around $1,000 monthly on advertising, Facebook and Instagram advertising, and we take in around that much and more. So it's not a money maker; it's just kind of breaking even. But it's how we actually get significant results for those posts. So we're taking the time. We pretty much try to only do video content. So either they have videos that, that we can grab or get from them if we reach out to them, or we use Animoto and just turn photos into a slideshow. And if it's a paid campaign, we might add the scripting on there as well. And that is just one of those things, like, it's not all that much worth it to take the time to do it unless you're doing that, is what we've kind of found. So it's very time intensive, but we found that it's so beneficial as far as engagement with our members. They know that we're working for them, even if it's 2 small ad campaigns, a year. For a small member, it really makes a difference. The structure of that is that we, in our database of our members, we actually look at what their membership tier is, what category of industry they are, and then we say, okay, 1, 0, 1 or 2 posts, Facebook, Instagram posts annually, we kind of just put a date on there based on their renewal date, like in month 3, and then we just download a report. So it's like that month is coming up. Oh, these are the members that we should post about, and we drop them into our social media schedule. So it's time consuming, but it's one of those touch points that often they respond to more than us trying to give them a call and just checking in, because they're seeing results. So it's time consuming. There's no way about it, but at least we know that by putting those small dollar amounts and also having regular, members, a number of our members pay us monthly to just do one ad campaign that might be a 2 to 3 day ad campaign. And so they know to send us content that first of that month. And we're supplementing their social media strategy by having it come from Go Local. And they really do recognize a difference in them sponsoring an ad campaign directly, saying this is coming from, sponsored by this credit union. They know, the viewers kind of know it's an ad, but when it's saying Go Local, sponsored by, and then it's about that credit union, it just feels like we're just, it just has a little bit less of that advertising feel and more like we're really endorsing this business. So let's see. There's a lot of room for growth for us. Absolutely. We could be stronger in, I'd like us to up by, 10 or 20% the content that we're just doing and telling the Go Local story, because we're spending so much time, posting about our members. And so that's just one of those things. But we've, when we do photo shoots of our members and we do, collages of smiling faces, we'll run those campaigns. And we also publish a magazine, 5 times a year. And so we post those stories. We have 2 Instagram pages, one just for Go Local and one for our magazine, because that really, we have photographers with each story and, good visuals. So I would just, agree that we almost feel like, if you don't have great visuals, and never use stock if we're an independent business alliance, right? Just like, don't do it unless you've got real faces, real food, real content, and can put some ad dollars behind it to really make all that time building it be worthwhile. So again, not a revenue generator, but really has, we've just found what returns it provides in that member engagement and the member benefits. Yeah, so that's kind of our overview, and we've got a lot more to do, but that's how it's been working lately. And of course, it's a pain in the rear to deal with, Facebook ads manager. Oh my God, Mark, my staffer, he's, half the time wanting to, yeah, it's not fun. And you all know, but we do find that it does reach the older audience. And we know that our challenge is to really get younger. Fortunately, our food magazine is kind of, a little bit hip and trendy, but that's on the digital side. We've got some, kind of work to do in really growing our younger audiences. So that's kind of a long and short of us. And I'll just put some of our links in the chat and leave it to Q&A.
Awesome. Yeah.
Thank you.
Always room to grow. That's like the mantra of social media, I feel like. Well, and most things in life too, really. Thank you so much, Janeen. Yes, when I think of like Go Local Sonoma, they are like the media experts of all the IBAs. It's and doing all the different kinds of media too. So the magazine and print, and I think radio as well, and the ad buys via social media. So I love to hear about your approach to it as well. I think those are very cool ideas. So so yes, thank you all 3 panelists. And now time for the audience's burning questions. We always have a couple minutes of silence while somebody works up.
I have a question.
There we go.
Gathering-
Yay, Megan.
Gathering content. So we have several hundred members, but getting them to either feed us content that's easily shareable or getting them to give us content that we can then turn around and promote for them. What is your guys' collection process like for that content? Because that's very time intensive on our end, having to go to, all of these pages or all of the emails. How do you guys simplify that process?
Well, I'll chime in because I was just talking about that a bit. If they're paying us, we establish when they do that media buy that we're going to be contacting them the 1st of the month. They need to send content by the 5th, and hopefully we train them Some of them are terrible, but and then we just have to wait. And sometimes we put off that ad for that month, and and then it extends. But usually they get trained and they send us content. With the unpaid, just member benefit posts, we just do them. We just look at what's on their feed, because we figure if it's relevant, if we see an event coming up, then we'll just do it. And maybe 10% of the time they get back to us after and say, well, I wish you'd reached out to us before, and because we really wanted this, and then we just put a flag in their record to just, for this person, this business, contact them to get content. And even though it's a pain, that keeps this member. It's just this investment we make in them. So yeah.
I'm happy to talk on that as well, by working with LIBA and then, individual independent businesses. It's a variety. Certainly the members can send you their content. If you're going to do that way, I recommend putting together some guides for them. So if it's going to be a video, best way to hold your camera, all these tips to do that. If you want a photo, specific photo, give them that information. So give them as much guidance as possible, so that when they do give you that content back, it's usable. And yes, certainly going to their websites, their Facebook, Instagrams, their social media channels, to gather content can be helpful. I do highly recommend getting permission or giving them a heads up. And you can simply do that, if you see a good Instagram picture on their Instagram them and just say who you are, what you want to do with it, why you want to use it. Ask if you need to credit somebody. Because typically they're going to come back and say yes, because they want their content to be shared, right? I mean, that's why they're posting it in the first place. So certainly, content from your members, that's considered user-generated content. Again, look at what your followers are tagging you in. Do they have any content that you can then reuse? And then, of course, going out on your own is an option. That, I think, is dependent on your budget, your schedule, all that. But sometimes it is best just to go out there and do it yourself, depending what it is.
If I could, I just wanted to jump in, something that's been really helpful for us as far as getting content from our members, and kind of being able to skip the time-consuming process of constantly getting permission to use their photos, is something that we've done is actually had created an opt-in form. So I kind of lay it all out, like you're giving us permission to take photos from your Facebook or your websites. And so I actually have a huge list of businesses that have already signed off on the permission to use their photos from their profiles. So that's actually opened up a huge content library for us. And we're able to, we still have to cruise around and look for kind of the right photo. But it really has opened up the ability to just kind of get it done quickly.
That's a great idea. Yeah, it's a really good idea.
And I'll just note that on the CLF side, we don't ask for permission. Anything that gets posted is publicly accessible. So we just repost it, Will. No one's ever had an issue with it. If it's something from their channel, they've already authorized it by definition, and it's out in the ether. So if you're really time constrained, like we are, we just repost.
Gotcha. Yep. And Mika's, we use a content collection form, Google Forms, yep, and promote it through our newsletter. We are developing one of those. Nice. And then Katie, did you have your hand up for a question as well, or were you just chiming in on that?
Oh, I just wanted to throw it out there that that's been working for us lately.
Awesome. Very cool. I think that also emphasizes to members that, that you're looking out for them and that you're doing it in the first place. So I think somebody was piping up. Did I cut off somebody?
Hi, you protecting me?
Oh, Amy, are you there? Amy? Amy, you might be coming in and out of internet. So yeah, so let's maybe some other questions, thoughts, ideas, any particular successful something that you guys have done on social media or ideas you want to share? Kathleen.
And if that's all right, I think I resonate. I'm so sorry, I forget who mentioned this specifically, but just the not being afraid to try various mediums. I know that we've over the course, especially throughout the pandemic, have just attempted various pieces. Some have made it into our regular rotation, others have just not been a part of what we decided to move forward with. But one of the things that we've considered with that is just like, how do we package information into a message to share it with people through social media? So creating, one of those examples have been creating this idea of like a weekend roundup. So signifying to our audience that every Friday we're going to have this bundle of information for you, which is ways to get engaged this weekend. And it will be various member content pieces, who's hosting an event, who's got something great going on. And it's really just a reshare platform, right? We're not sourcing, creating much of that. We're just throughout the week saving posts on Instagram and other places, and then resharing them in a package that is like, that has a message. So come out this weekend and celebrate these businesses, be a part of what's going on in our joyful community. And so that has made it into some regular rotation with us, a few other things, but I would just really advocate for that. As well as we've had varied success in this. It was more successful for us early on. But something else that's made it into our regular rotation is a Takeover Tuesday from our members. And so really, as opposed to sharing and sourcing a lot of member content, giving people, like you mentioned, Lauren, a very specific guide of, do share this. People love when you share this kind of content, and then kind of providing them access with monitoring throughout the day, because sometimes people more or less follow the guidelines. But making sure that we're just checking out what folks have going on and giving them access to connect with our audience and network through a pretty refined guide. So we have lots of, there are lots of don'ts also in there, right? Like, please, this is not a solicitation. This is just a way to share values alignment and also for people to help engage with your business. So anyway, trying new things has been great for us, just to learn from our audience.
Awesome. Thanks, Kathleen. Other thoughts and questions, ideas, warnings?
I'll add in one more topic we've not really hit on. Our social media stories. They really started on Instagram, Facebook, now they're on Twitter. It has become a very popular tool. It's something I recommend adding into your social media strategy if you are on either three of those platforms. It is a way to stay relevant and top of mind without you having to post every day. Because again, if you don't have content to post every day, don't, because people will see through that. It doesn't help your engagement rates. So you can even to get more views on your post on Instagram, you can share your own post to your story. Instagram, if you're not using like a link tree or something on Instagram, where you can click, have multiple links associated with your individual posts. You can share links, outside of Instagram on your story to drive traffic to whatever landing page or website you want. So if you are not already incorporating stories into your social media plan, certainly look into that. And I recommend adding that feature in. And you're really just seeing it grow too. I mean, there's a reason more platforms are adding it.
Do you want to sum up in 15 seconds what a story is as opposed to a post?
Yeah, sure. So a story can be video or photo content. Again, it really started on Instagram. So again, it's having that visual content's important. But you can post a story. It appears if you click on your profile picture and you have a story, it'll like run through your story. They're usually a couple seconds, and will again, allows you to, what I have found the benefit most is it just keeps you top of mind. Like I'm more likely to visit your profile and look at your page if I've just looked at your story. So it's kind of something that, you know, how with the algorithms with Facebook, you know, the more engagement and Instagram, you know, the more engagement with a post, the more likely it is for more, you know, more people to see it. Stories can also help with that. So it's something that you can do directly, you know, through your Instagram app to share through Instagram and Facebook, and then Twitter has their own. You can also schedule, you know, you can create stories now in Facebook's business manager. So it's become a tool. It's become a part of marketing that I think that I see growing, because I see how Meta is incorporating more tools in order for you to do more stories. They're really encouraging that. And you're seeing stories be more video content. I'm not sure if anyone else has anything to add on stories.
Kate was just commenting there about, do you want to show an example of a story?
Yeah, sure.
And Megan, I think
Give me
you
a second.
had your hand up there. Do you want to chat while Lauren pulls up one of those?
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's also one of those things, like in my Facebook feed, on my personal feed, the first thing I get seen every time I log in, is the most recent stories from people that I follow. That's one of the reasons you end up with more engagement too, because they're definitely pushing it. Just like when you go to Instagram now, Reels is the page that they push you to.
Okay, so I can share my screen. I've just got my most recent client's Instagram pulled up, but it is for a local music festival that is happening this weekend. Oh, it says the host has disabled screen sharing.
Let's see. Can you make Lauren a co-host, Jen? I think that'll take care of it.
And I'll see some of our stories that I have to share have music that like I added to them too. So you can get really creative with them. I actually find the stories to be fun. I think there's also a little bit less, because they happen so quickly and they do go away in 24 hours. The expectation, I think, from the audience is like a little bit less for perfection. So again, it's a fun thing. And then you can also do highlights, and I can show you those too. Okay, let me see. I think I can do it now. Yes. Can you guys see that? Should say the big stump.
Yep, we can see it.
Great. And so these are, let me go back. So a lot of these, again, this is a music festival happening this weekend. So we're doing a lot of story shares here. So this is other people have tagged us in these posts. Let me see.
A lot of you know me as DJ.
So again, you can have, you know, this is an invitation, like basically this is like a recorded invitation to attend the festival. This is one that I shared from one of our DJs who just won something. And I clicked there, sorry. What I did back here was actually, if you click that, that'll take you directly to our ticket link. So, you know, we're pushing ticket sales. So you want that link to be out there as much as possible. This was clearly ticket alert saying ticket prices are going to go up. I put one of our band's songs to it. Again, you click this link, you're going to buy a ticket. More shares. And I mean, you can see we've got quite a few up there. I've seen people doing stories in place of some posts, which I think can be a good tool. Not everything maybe needs a post, you know, maybe it is more appropriate for a story. So yeah, if you're not familiar with them, I recommend just doing a little bit of research on it, but I don't think they're going anywhere. So I do think it's a good tool to add into your social media strategy.
I'm not much of a social media poster, but like my brother says, he's like, I get more engagements on my stories because people know that if they don't watch them then they're going to go away.
Yep. That is very true. And you can see who watches them. So, you know, it's interesting. Again, just the amount of data that social media can give you and the ability to highly target certain audiences is one of the reasons why I personally find social media to be such a impactful marketing strategy. And it's something that, even though it is definitely pay to play now, you can do it on a shoestring budget. You know, you don't have to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars a month for it to be impactful.
And you can also think about things from the perspective of like how frankly addictive they are. So like video is the most addictive mechanism. It's why TikTok grew so rapidly, because it's video based. It's why Instagram and Meta is moving in the direction of video. It's why other platforms that are text-based are less addictive. And so the more dynamic the content, the more engaged your audience will be, because it like triggers mechanisms in their brain differently. And it's part of why stories are more engaging, because they tend to be more interactive, more like video-based, more like they're framed differently than non-story posts often. And part of why Reels are so effective too. So yeah, the more like dynamic and mobile the content, the bigger the engagement.
Good point. Yeah.
We are getting very close to our 2 o'clock closing here. So I'm going to do a quick last call for any burning questions. But I'm also glad to see we've got contact information from our 3 presenters today. And Jen Risley usually puts together a little summary in our newsletter. Yes, so that will we've got a recording of today's call that you can reference back to, and all that good stuff. So feel free to reach out, and I love having this community of IBAs and buy local organizations across the country to help us out. And I always learn something new on these calls, always some things that I bring back to my own organization. So with that, I'm going to let you know that we do our next local leaders is November the 10th. It's going to be a hive, so a lot more casual. Well, this is casual too, but you know, more of a discussion. We'd like for you to bring a success story from 2022, something that you tried and worked out great, and kind of what you think might be a challenge in 2023, so we can compare notes. Have we been through that? Is there something we can do that might be share that we can be helpful, that kind of thing. So maybe let's see, it'll be at 1 o'clock, but I'll eat lunch together and share our stories. So, or well, 10 o'clock on the West Coast, but have brunch with us. All right, anything else before we wrap up?
Thank you all. Appreciate the opportunity to speak with you guys.
Absolutely. A big round of applause to our presenters today. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise. Very much appreciate it. And we hope to see you next month. Thanks, everybody.